Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to see my Caterpillar Club friends. I've really missed you. And you remember me. I'm not wearing my name tag, but you remember my name. I'm Sarah, and I'm not filming from my own garden. I'm right here at Reiman Gardens, and today we have a special reading for you, the Nature Connects exhibit. It's what Sean Kenney put together, and he uses Legos, not just hundreds, not even thousands. Altogether, he uses, I'm sure, more than 1 million Legos to build his sculptures. Now, you're going to recognize the story. Let me see. How many of you remember the story Brown Bear, Brown Bear? Yeah, it's a favorite story. I love that one. Well, how about Polar Bear, Polar Bear? Yeah, I knew you would remember those stories. Well, when you hear this story, you'll see why I asked if you remembered those stories. And they're by Carle. Now, the story we're going to hear today is inspired by the artist Sean Kenney, okay? But we put the story together, the crew here at Reiman Gardens. And I know that you love Legos, so you're going to love the story and the exhibit both. All right, let me tell you the name of the story. It is this. Rhino, Rhino, what do you see? And let's begin. All right, well, this is where our story begins with the rhino. And Sean Kenney said a couple of things about his sculptures, but one I really liked. He said, you can't just stick a bunch of Legos together and build an animal. Your sculpture needs to have a spirit, a spark, a little bit of magic, and tell a story. So this sculpture is quite different than the other ones. And Sean Kenney has a reason for that, okay? Rhinos are disappearing in the world. So instead of making it look exactly like a real rhino, Sean Kenney wanted you to see, and when you walk around the rhino, you'll be able to see that rhinos are disappearing. From this direction, though, you can see it pretty good. And there's its horns down there in front. And that's one of the reasons why it's hunted, okay? We don't want to hunt it to extinction. The story goes like this, though. It starts with, Rhino, Rhino, what do you see? I see a hummingbird looking at me. Well, here we are at the hummingbird, and this beautiful sculpture of the hummingbird shows you the hummingbird feeding on a trumpet flower. So, its long beak reaches all the way down into the trumpet flower to get the nectar. Now, you know, because you've seen hummingbirds in your yard, they're itty-bitty little fellas. So this has been enlarged just so we can see and admire it. And the exciting thing about this is, I just find this phenomenal. It was made with 31,565 pieces. That number is so big, I can hardly imagine it. It's 3 times bigger than 10,000. And our story from here continues. Hummingbird, hummingbird, what do you see? I see a zebra looking at me. All right, well, we're right here with the zebra. And the zebra has a friend in this sculpture. But you can't see its friend from this angle, I don't think, because it's very well hidden and disguised. But I'm going to wait to tell you a little bit more about the zebra when we see the zebra's friend, okay? So we'll continue with the story. Zebra, zebra, what do you see? I see a wildebeest looking at me. Here we are at the other half of this sculpture. It's the wildebeest. And you can see the wildebeest is eating And that's what would happen in real life on the Serengeti, which is the deserts of Africa, one of many. And so the wildebeest is able to graze without worrying that something like a lion or a tiger would come up on it, because while it's feeding, the zebra's head is up in its herd, and the zebra is always scanning the horizon, looking to see if there's danger. And if the zebra senses danger, off they go, and the wildebeest sees that and hears it, and up goes the wildebeest's head, and they too can take off before a lion or a tiger sneaks up on them. But it goes both ways. The wildebeest is a very ferocious, large animal, and so its size keeps the zebra herd safe. So they have a relationship that keeps them together, and they're not friends like you and your friends are, but they need each other. And from here, we go from wildebeest, wildebeest, what do you see? I see a seahorse hidden in the coral reef, looking at me. Well, here we are at the coral reef, and you can see that it's colorful, it's vibrant, it's teeming with life. And Sean wanted to reflect that because in the oceans, zillions of animals live around the coral reef. And the coral reef is living as well, if it's healthy. And right here you can see the whole seahorse, and you can see the seahorse is kind of holding onto the coral reef with his tail. Now when you come to Reiman Gardens, I'm not going to tell you this because you're going to want to come right up and look in the coral reef and see, because it's not just the seahorses that are in the coral reef. There's other animals in there that are hidden, but you'll have to use your scientific eyes to see them. All right? Well, here goes our story. Seahorse, seahorse, hiding in the coral reef. What do you see? I see polar bear and her cubs looking right at me. Here we are at the polar bear, and you can see that this polar bear has a couple of cubs, and that's why Sean Kenney wanted to do a polar bear, because the relationship between the mama and the baby polar bears is very special. She teaches them to hunt, and she feeds them, and she takes care of them, and she shows her love for them. And you can see these little guys love mama too. Now when Sean built this one, it was his largest sculpture, well, to date. I bet he builds a bigger one. This one is 625 pounds. That's about the same size as 6 grown-ups. And it has more than 125,000 Legos. I can't even think how big the bucket must be to hold all the Legos to make Mama Polar Bear. All right, well, let's go on with our story. Polar bear, and your cubs, what do you see? I see a jeweled chameleon looking right at me. Well, here we are at the jeweled chameleon, and I got to tell you a couple of things about it because they're such cool animals. For one thing, in real life, they're only 5 to 7 inches. So Sean Kenney made this one huge just so we could see it in all its glory. And this one is from the island of Madagascar. Say that with me, Madagascar. I'd love to go there to see the chameleons and to see everything else that they have there. I learned, though, that chameleons do not change color to blend in with their surroundings. So he's not green because of the tree. He changes colors on the temperature. So if it's a hot day, he changes color, and if it's a cold day, he's a different color. And he changes color based on if he's feeling really scared or really happy? I think this chameleon must feel very happy because here it is right with me. All right, and our story from here goes to Jeweled chameleon, what do you see? I see a snow leopard looking at me. Here we are at the snow leopard, and Sean Kenney, the artist, wanted to show the relationship between the predator and prey. And the snow leopard is a mighty predator, and it's crouched up in here on the wall, looking for its lunch or dinner. Don't let it look at you. The story continues with Snow Leopard, what do you see? I see a monarch butterfly looking at me. Well, here we are at, the monarch butterfly. And the cool thing about the monarch butterfly is it finds and feeds on the milkweed flowers. So here's the butterfly pollinating the milkweed flower for the milkweed. And when the female's ready, she lays her eggs on the milkweed so that when the larvae come out, they've got lunch, dinner, breakfast, and a midnight snack to chew on. I love monarch butterflies. Look for them in your yard because they're in Iowa as we speak. And our story continues with monarch butterfly, what do you see? I see a whooping crane looking at me. Well, here we are at the whooping crane, and we've got to be a little quiet because this mother has a couple of eggs that she's watching. And a cool thing about whooping cranes, well, a couple of things. One, they can live to be 22 or 24 years old. Wow, so this one might be a teenager. And the other thing is, and we'll do it on the count of 3, whooping cranes are named for their sound they make. So if you think you know what the sound is, we'll make it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Woo! They're named for their sound, whooping cranes. All right, we'll continue with our story, and it goes like this. Whooping crane, what do you see? I see a sea turtle looking at me. Well, here we are at the giant sea turtle, and you can see it really is giant. But the amazing thing is, this is about the size they really are. And they come ashore on the beaches, like the beaches of Mexico and Hawaii. They come ashore at night, they dig a giant hole, and they can lay hundreds of eggs. Then the mother crawls back out to the water, swims off, and in a while, not sure exactly how long, but maybe 2-3 weeks, the babies hatch, and then those little teeny tiny baby turtles crawl all the way down the shore to go back to the water, where hopefully they might live to be 100 years old. And our story continues with giant sea turtle, what do you see? I see a dodo looking at me. Well, here we are at the dodo. And the dodo is an amazing bird. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. It's extinct. That means gone forever. Okay? The other animals we've seen have been endangered. And if we humans do the right thing, the smart thing, we can help them so that they continue to be in our world. But the dodos are gone forever. And the reason they're gone forever is humans hunted them to extinction. All right? Now, dodos were on the island of Madagascar, and The funny thing is, they're related to pigeons. And gosh, pigeons are about this big, I think, if you get close to them. And then look at the dodo. It really is huge. Makes me sad to think that they're gone, though. All right, our story continues with, Dodo, Dodo, what do you see? I see children looking at me. Children, children, what do you see? I like that. Perfect. That's exactly what I would say too. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story. And at home, you can take Legos, or rocks, or sticks, or mud, and build your own animals. And if you do that, take a picture so that we can see them, because I would really like to see them. And be sure to come to Reiman Gardens. Until the next time, bye!